Oh, I don't feel good about it. In a game 5, who do you trust?
Somebody's a communist, I'm sure.
I was just worried about
the league is Florida.
With the stab in the chest. At what point do we start talking about the coaching?
Or maybe Ultra if things get real crazy. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3, and to our farthest right, per usual, is none other than the Rex, ShadyNero. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading into week 3 of Stage 2. 2 weeks out from the Stage 2 Major in Minnesota. And we have a lot to talk about today. Obviously, we'll be doing the predictions for this weekend. We're bringing down all the news this week. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to NYSL and all the potential rosters and so much more. And all the rest of the news of the week as well. So it's going to be a lot to go through, not to mention the Hotseat rankings once again are back at it again. So we'll be rolling through it all today. But before we get into that, guys, I got to ask, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I'm feeling like a cartographer sailing the ocean blue, trying to find my way in this world, and I'm just casually drawing down on my blueprint, trying to navigate, and my hand starts cramping up. I start making these squiggly lines up into the northeast side of my map. And all of a sudden the captain starts heading in that direction, following the curves to the T. And we ended up in this strange land that was filled with these mystical creatures. And honestly, it was just quite an out-of-body experience. And I'm waiting for the research, like the paper to come out about it. Oh, yeah,
I'm sure it's coming out soon.
A lot of doctoral students are very interested.
Of course. Wow, an adventure for Rex, ShadyNero. Sam, how you doing?
That was phenomenal. I'm doing great. I just realized that my kid fell down earlier this evening, and
that's what kids do.
Like kids do, they fell, and I felt bad. And he was crying, and so I hugged him, and I don't know if you can see this, but like I got like snot on my shoulder from like when he was crying. That right there, folks, is a mixture of tears and snot.
Wow, that's the best of 3 first.
And so as we started, I realized, wow, that's disgusting. So I apologize.
Nice.
I appreciate the awareness.
He's okay.
I'm sure all the YouTube viewers do too.
He's okay. But my
wow, tough day.
Favorite sweatshirt is
at the Bash household,
covered in snot. But anyways, I'm doing great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, love to hear it. Glad
send
child is okay.
Send out a prayer to Zane
of
Bashford.
Course.
So
yeah, we all will. Less snot, more love. Wow, but we have a lot to talk about today, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, you can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can watch on YouTube. You can get that. You can drop that comment on YouTube. You can check it out on Spotify too. And you can drop those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. And today we might just have a banger review.
So we haven't had anything since the review called me out as the awkward trio.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
But I think I found something that we missed earlier in January.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll see.
A while back.
We'll see. January 30th. So late January. This one's from. Did we read one from Dingo? Ha 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 ha. That sounds familiar.
Yes. Dingo ha 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 ha. Yes.
Oh no, I think it was only Dingo ha ha. It's definitely a different guy.
Yeah, different guy. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
this is of course a 5-star review. It almost looked like from like the Apple Podcast, it was 4.5, but no, it's 5. It's definitely 5.
Okay, good to know.
Title is Guess Who's Back. It's your boy Dingo.
Back.
Still got to give you guys a 5-star review because the content is amazing on every episode. But I'm still waiting to hear back from ShadyNero. You taking me up on our bet. So this is from January 30th. Do you remember this, Rex? I mean, the Rokkr didn't look too good in the kickoff event, but I have faith. Keep up the good work, boys. So something to do with the Rokkr.
Well, all right, write another review and remind us what the bet is. And if we read it,
we'll get back to you in 2 months, apparently. Yeah. Well, Dingo, we do appreciate the review. And
Rex remembers something along those lines vaguely. Yeah. I don't remember what it was about.
Yeah, Rex owes you a life debt without a doubt. So Well, appreciate the review, Dingo. And if you guys are new around here, we do have a new sponsorship with the podcast, PrizePicks, and it's been a blast so far. You can pick over and unders on COD pros or players each weekend, and other sports. You can actually pair them together and then go over under on Steph Curry and Scump on over unders on points scored for Steph and some kills for Scump in a weekend. It's been a blast for us, and we've been doing it each week, and it's been a ton of fun. And getting some dubs, taking some L's, learning the ropes is really where it's at. And I think we're going to be starting up a tear from here on out. So what you can do is you can use code BO3POD.
Oh,
and they
yes.
Exactly. And they actually double your initial deposit. So if you put in 50, they give you 50. It's a good time. And it's up to $100. So that's lit. So use code BO3POD. And then you can tweet us your picks with hashtag BO3Picks on Twitter. And that'll enter you into a little giveaway for merch in stage 2. So
yeah,
you guys are good. Make sure to do that.
PrizePicks.com. There's PrizePicks app, at least for the iPhone. Not sure about the other apps. BO3Pod as a promo code. Double the deposit that you put in. It's free money.
Just to reiterate, we love that.
Amen.
Honestly, it really is. It is the best site for this type esports, fantasy. It is, I think, far between.
And we're not just saying
one.
that because we're biased.
No, seriously. It is I am proud to
rep
promote something.
Picks.
I really think this is a great product.
Yeah, I agree.
Great user experience.
Without a doubt. So with that said, again, shout out PrizePicks. We are going to, and we'll be talking about our picks next week as well for using all the picks. They're not up right now, so we'll be talking about our picks for this week, next week, and it's going to be a blast. So without further ado, we're going to head into the news of the week, boys, because we have a lot to talk about. So let's hit it.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
News here. Come get your Call of Duty news. Oh man,
I loved it.
We're gonna hit him hard with the stab in the chest. Clayster benched.
Oh, bro.
Paul X is in, and Havok declines.
Yeah,
that's what the headlines are saying these days.
Obviously, a little bit late. This happened officially the day after, or about a little bit, day and a half after we posted the podcast last week.
As usual.
But we did talk about, we kind of got the news. We had the breaking news moment last week, basically, where we saw on Reddit right at the end that it might be happening. So we talked about it last week, even though it became official news after the podcast. But Rex, obviously your main stage here. We want to hear what you got to say about this New York situation. Clay's currently on the sidelines, and he posted a video talking about it. And so I want to hear every single thought you have. I haven't talked to you yet because I've been trying to save this conversation, so I'm excited to hear it.
So, we saw them play Paris. They beat Paris. They got a win. They won a hard point. Honestly, they looked better as a team. I think that was pretty undeniable. I think they looked like a better team with Paul.
Yeah, and Neptune.
And Neptune there as well. Something needed to change. I still think Clay was being ripped on too much. I didn't think he was bad of a player as some people are really making him out to be.
The situation was just so tough.
I still think he's a really good player and still could provide a lot to a team. I actually have some notes here. Let me see.
Yeah. While you're looking for it, I agree with you there. I think it became abundantly clear after the Ravens series and then the Mutineers series where all right, something's gotta change here.
Something had to give. Something had to give for sure.
I think the pacing was off between Clay and Krim. They obviously disagreed on how to play the game, and even Clay talked about that in his conversation, and Krim mentioned that too in his little post-game press conference app, which was absolutely hilarious. After the Legion series, his post-game was incredible.
Yeah,
but
insane.
Yeah, no, it made sense from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to take away from where the Subliners are at now. They're still, at the bottom of the barrel.
I mean, they beat Paris.
They beat
someone
Paris,
had to win that match.
They beat the worst team in the league. So like they do not have that title. Paris does still.
Emphasize
so it's
that.
Like, would they have beat them even if Clay was on the team? Like, I don't know. Maybe not. Looking how they were as that squadron of 4, I think Paris probably would have beat them, to be honest.
Right. And they wouldn't have won 2 hard points. Maybe 1, but not 2.
I mean, but then you could tell right off the bat just how much more connected that team was together. Now, is it a bit of a honeymooning thing? It's just like it's good. It's just new vibes coming in to have a fresh go. But I do think it's going to be sustainable for New York. And, I hope nothing best for Clay.
Right. So I guess the next situation was like, well, what do you think about Paul? And was he the guy that you were excited about? Or was there other options you were interested in? And then we have to get into the whole Havok conversation side piece here too.
I think Paul was a really good choice.
Yeah. Paul, a 1 for 1.
Paul, I was like, I'm like, I think that was a very solid decision, to be honest.
Do you think that still leaves? Because I know last week when we talked with Shift, it's, I think it was like, he wasn't too excited about it, because every time we talk about the Subliners, it's their sub duo, right? Like that, like really needs to.
I still think Neptune makes bad plays. Like we act like Neptune had this huge turnaround. I saw things in that Paris game where I was like, I don't think Neptune should be doing this. I still think he throws his life away sometimes. Mm-hmm. So
I mean, he does, but so does like a lot of players in the league.
They shouldn't be, but I think Neptune does it a little more egregiously sometimes.
That's fair. But he was winning his gunfights this time. And I think it also comes from, Paul X is there to help make the team better at the end of the day. And I think he was like, and what Clay said was that there was, Clay and Crim, like I said, both said there was just a split in how they wanted to play.
You could tell.
So I think just flipping that out and then everyone agreeing, okay, this is how we're going to play. I think that just a decision in itself was probably a factor in them just elevating their level of play to at least enough to beat Paris pretty handily.
Right. Well, I think I tweeted at Clay like one of the times they lost, or at some point, I maybe even mentioned on the pod, I was like, the team just like looks like they're not on the same page. And I think I've said this multiple times on the pod, like they are just look like they're not on the same page at all. And it's not even like and that's just what it was. And when they got Paul, like things seemed to be clicking a lot more. And I think it really just has to come down to just what playbook, I guess, they're reading, Yeah,
exactly.
They just have that chemistry. Like they're just more connected together.
For sure. And like one thing is like Paul X is like an elite S&D player. And so you bring him in immediately. They win the S&D. To be fair, he didn't really do much in S&D, but like I think he's just a naturally talented S&D player when it comes to reads and making plays, things on those lines.
Having the knowledge too of like with your team is like, even if you yourself are not performing, like the knowledge you can bring to a team is more valuable than individual performance, honestly.
And we saw that on London last year. I mean, how many times like on freaking Moscow S&D did this guy pop like a random 3-piece to give him a chance in the games? Like I feel like we saw that constantly.
Yeah.
And so that's where I get excited about this roster specifically. And we'll see. I mean, do you think this roster as it is right now can get to a top 6 type level without another change?
It's
on Neptune. He's the X factor, truly.
It really is on Neptune. I feel like this is going to be a team that's going to be just like they're going to have they're going to have hits and they're going to have big misses. Still, it's still, and I still think like, we only saw one match against the worst team in the league with this new roster. So
and the Legion just made a new roster,
So like it's still hard to say what this team's going to end up being. But just looking at the gameplay that we got with the Paris one, it looked leagues better than before. So I don't know. I have high hopes.
Yeah. I mean, they won the Berlin 250-79. Like it wasn't just some close win.
Yeah.
Mighty unfortunate. I was going to say like, look at the map picks. I'm like, why would that like those come through? Cause like those 2 maps are like 2 of Paris's worst map. I'm like, they probably weren't worried about it because
Paris thought they had a chance.
Subliners were 0 and everything in every map, so they didn't really care.
They got body slammed.
I know. So that was kind of funny.
Why would Paris even play that? But
I know. I think
they just risk it. Like,
whatever they vetoed, which I thought I had it up here, but again, Paris were 2-4 on Berlin, 1-5 on Bocage, and
there's
then
not
1-4 in Tuscan.
news
There's just not
anywhere.
much good news anywhere.
Yeah.
So they had to play something. So,
And then
but
just nothing
it's
to
just
go from
insane
New
that
York,
they get 250-79 by the worst hardpoint team in the league.
I
It's like,
know.
oh,
Give New York their 2 wins. It broke New York's record losing streak in hardpoint, which they beat.
Yeah.
They beat LAG streak from last year by once. I think they had a 13 game losing streak.
LAG, that's
Dang.
right. That's right.
Impressive.
Rough.
So as for the other piece of the news, then with Havok.
Mhm.
So obviously Havok, as reported by CDL Intel, originally was asked to join the Subliners in place of Neptune.
And he wanted to play with Clay.
Yeah, so he wanted to switch to the roster, which is very interesting. And Clay was saying in his video that he wanted a 2-player change as well. And so apparently the org decided between him and Krim, I guess, or something, or I don't know, or I guess in a different direction. I'm not really sure because Clay said he thought he needed a 2-player change. And I don't know if he meant himself in that or not, but yeah, Havok wanted to bring Kismet with him. And Havok said Hydra didn't want Brezzy on the team, which is surprising.
Mhm.
I mean,
The French combo, I guess, but apparently not
they probably
friends.
play each other a lot, got some bad blood. Hydra,
Or, yeah,
not a lot of
play with each
respect
other in
for
the past,
Brezzy.
too. Right. And so then the other thing is that Havok and Krim have always kind of had this fun like rivalry on Twitter that Krim's always tweeting at Havok like random
It's
things,
weird.
even though they don't really have any
Yeah.
friendship. But Paul and Havok apparently had some beef. It's like they didn't feel like they wanted to play together.
Well, they're calling out hacking because like Havok's like, here's why I declined because the flank was like roasting him for like declining to go play for a pro team.
Well, off the original news, it sounded insane, but then from his context or his POV, it made a little bit more sense.
Well, his POV was that you're asking me to go play for the worst team in the league and possibly just be a detriment to my stock. I'm going into a losing situation.
And they wanted him to play with a player he didn't like that much, in Paul X, apparently. So
right.
with those two things.
And then he called out Paul X saying that Paul X called me a hacker and all this stuff. Like, why would I want to team with this guy? And then Paul kind of fired back. It's like, I don't know why you're naming me when you were just calling Tiny hack, like he was hacking too. So
yeah, but it looks like they squashed that beef real quick though. Paul and Cole, I think, were just fine.
Agreed.
But it is interesting. Of course, I feel like the flank has been the talk of the town with Reddit, but like Ake stood by his opinion that Colt was that's still a dumb move for Havok to not take that. He basically said like, if you're any challenger player and like not taking any chance you can get, like you're basically a moron. That's what he said. And so it's kind of interesting, which I can kind of get that perspective. But at the same time, how many player stocks have we seen plummet after joining a team?
Decimate is the guy, it's like,
I mean, so, on
royalty.
On one hand, I get you can't be too picky, especially with like no expansion teams. But on the other hand, is it really worth crushing your stock as a player if you join basically a dwindling team that when you join you really aren't in a position to make it any better? I think that does matter. So I think overall, I think that's just Aches being the guy he is. But at the same time, it is a weird position for challengers players to kind of have to consider that kind of thing. I think before when the league started, they're going to take every chance they can get. But
I mean, on paper, it sounds insane to turn down Crim 6, Hydra, and Paul X.
It does, but with the way they've been playing this year, how do you like? You
I
can't
guess, but at the same time, if you think you're a good player, like why wouldn't you think that you can turn it around?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the more personal, like I think it's more that he doesn't think he wants to team with those guys.
Yeah,
probably is probably
It's
the
a
more
risk.
logical angle.
Yeah,
it's more almost about the personalities than it is about the team
he
fit.
has he really likes the challengers team he's on right now.
Well, I mean, and they're really, really good. So like that makes the decision tougher.
I mean, if you're on a really good challengers team that like is winning, and then you're offered from like the worst team in the league, it's like maybe I wait this out because Subliners is not going to be the last team to be offering spots.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's just hard because at the same time though, like when has a full challengers team ever been picked up? Like
Well,
as a whole
exactly.
squad,
It's not-
It only
you know,
happened if there's an expansion team.
the rumors that have been flying around for 3 years that expansions are going to be coming, but we'll see.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough, situation, and I get it, but I think at the end of the day, he's just trying to do what is best for him as a player in the league. So you can't knock him too hard for it. But
No, for sure. No, it was just a really interesting situation. They also said they were trying to acquire Hixie from the Ultra, which would have been really interesting. That would have been one interesting roster.
I would have loved that. Hydra and Hixie sub duo. That would have been nasty.
Oh yeah, sick.
Oh,
but
man.
I mean, it's a feel good story for Neptune to have that good of a series coming off of how much negativity there was about him, before that. So I mean, he has such a good series against Paris. So it'll be interesting to see how they keep it up this weekend. But it is gonna be. Well, obviously, we'll talk more about them when we get to the matchup specifically. So
who are they playing this? Well, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
Rokkr.
they got some fun
They're
ones.
playing Rokkr. That's gonna be a good one.
Who knows?
So we'll see. What else we got here, Rex?
All right, some ranked play updates for all you ranked guys out there.
Hallelujah.
Honestly, I've been liking ranked a lot these days.
Hallelujah.
Players in Master and Challengers can form parties with players up to one adjacent skill division away, which I think's been the case, right?
Well, they are.
But now it's players in Elite can form parties with players up to 2 skill divisions away.
Yes, that makes basically that's most of the
That's
ladder. At
advanced
that
and expert.
Which is great because I qualified in dumpster garbage can
division.
One, so
nice, dude.
I can finally play with these guys. So that's awesome.
Wow.
Players below
sorry.
Elite can party up without restrictions and can party with players who haven't yet completed their seasonal skill evaluation matches. And
that
then
makes sense.
Party restriction rules are determined by the highest skill division represented in the party. So if you have an Elite, you're going by the Elite rules.
Yeah, that all just is pretty logical. Like, again, things that probably should have been there from the beginning, but we'll take what we can get at this point.
Yeah. Again, you should be allowed to party up with whoever you want, but then that ranking matchmaking should be the highest player in the lobby.
Like, you should know you're getting
makes
punished
sense.
if you're lobbying up.
Yeah. That should be the case. I don't get that.
It shouldn't be much of a problem anymore. I mean, with Elite being like, if you're in Masters and Challengers, like, anyways, moving on.
Good talk.
We finish our thoughts around here. What else we got?
Oh, and then top 250 just came out.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
So now there's going
That's
to,
lit.
people are going to be going for that top 250 rank now.
We're going to see a BZ at the top.
Which I love that. I love stuff like that. Overwatch has it's so fun to like be able to see those names up there. And like these pros, they're going to be trying to, they're going to be gunning for those top 250 spots.
They'll
Who's gonna
actually be
in that
grinding for it at that point.
I mean, who's going to be in the number 1 spot? That's what's going to be fun because sometimes it's not even a pro at all. Because it
could be some of the amateur
who just
grinders.
who like grinds rank super hard.
Yeah.
And they're really, really, really good. That's how you get your, what was that guy's name?
They have a foot pedal.
Ryan, what was his name? Ryan Bacardi. Something like that.
Ryan Bacardi.
You get your players like that. It's like, who's this number 1 guy on the leaderboard? But, hackers and all that. But, don't think that way. Let's get negative thoughts out the door here. Cheating scandals. Let's bring the negative back in. Let's talk about it.
After we just said, let's not talk.
That's why I was laughing. I was like, the transition was too good.
Let's bring it back in real quick.
Yeah, hey, negativity, get back in here real quick.
Yeah, cheating scandals. Saints said players are buying foot pedals.
Yes.
Basically, they're using foot pedals now as like the switch that, let's just say that the hack is auto aim. They're using the foot pedal as like the button now. And so like on the hand cam, you can't see them hacking with their hands. They're doing with their feet, which aren't going to be on the camera.
So you'll be seeing people on Twitter saying like, show the foot pedal. Like,
there's always going to be something. Here's the thing. There's always going to be something. It's how it is in PC games. And we act like this is so different than every other
in the future,
professional
it'll be
PC
a cup.
game.
In the future, it'll be a cup that's disguised. Like when you pick up you shake your G Fuel cup and that turns on the cheat.
Or it'll be like a formal spit bottle.
The spit
Just have it
bottle.
right there. Yeah, every time he spits, sheet.
Turn on the hacks.
Yeah. I don't know. The hacking stuff gets annoying. Like honestly, I can't tell if it's really that bad or not. I never honestly am like, oh, that I never do that often.
Well, I mean, because any individual is only going to come across it so often. It's more for like high end S&D grinders and guys like that who are going to come across it. I mean,
I get that, but I don't know. Like, what about games like Overwatch, Valorant, CS:GO? Like, you don't hear about these like major, like you hear about hacking problems, of course. Like you're always going to hear about that.
COD kids
But
are
not as
different.
much. Like it's just
They're
like every
built
other day there's a new
different.
accusation. It's like what was that? I mean, this is going to be just kind of out there, but the well, I think his name was like Joseph McCarthy or something. He was like a senator in the 50s, I think, and he had a list of people who were communists, and he just like made up this huge list of people to like get them in trouble, and like
I
people
love
didn't
the
believe
history
him, and
lesson.
people didn't know what to think.
Can we do
It's how it is now. Just every day, it's somebody new who's a communist. Someone every day who's new who's a hacker. It's like at some point.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I do think that, I mean, some of the ones that we see in the challenger scene have been like legit, like people are actually out there hacking.
Well,
Like,
no,
there's been
of course. Somebody's a communist, I'm sure. Like, list like 500 people who's a communist. Maybe one of them might be right. Like, sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know the one from the Warzone one yesterday was like legit. The dude was actually, he's pretty much for sure cheating. So
No, yeah, I know. It's
It is
not
crazy.
exactly the same. And, hacking is much easier than,
being a
all those-
communist.
I guess, but just, I get it, but I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair.
Nice. Looked it in the Senate.
People accuse easily and
Oh,
quickly.
definitely. Well, yeah, nothing's. I mean, like, I get what you're saying. Like, you can't just be in a ranked play game and like, yo, that guy was like sus.
I hear about it so much in COD all the time. It just feels like it's every day. I never hear about this with Overwatch and Valorant. I hear about it, but it's never like, it's not like this.
No, for sure. I know what you mean.
Nice. We
What
should
else we
do a ShadyNero history lesson segment every single week. Down.
No.
Like a drunk history podcast.
All
Sure.
right. Breaking Point started an S&D league.
It was cool.
No free shoutouts.
So they're trying to get the S&D scene going again.
Yeah, no free shots. I thought this was cool. Basically, it was just like they're gonna start like a league on Monday nights for like S&D stars. But we haven't really seen anything like that, like from the public perception. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I thought it was
Is
cool.
there like a
We're talking
prize
about.
pool or anything like that with it? Or is it just kind of like a free play? Or
I'm not sure if there's a prize pool or not, but would imagine so.
It's this 4v4 search and destroy league with some of the greatest S&D stars of the competitive Call of Duty scene.
Yeah, that's cool. Like
So I don't know
the
if
captains
you
are
win
Tupac,
anything or
Equip,
anything
Teddy
like
Rex, and
that?
Tiny. So there's pretty cool names there.
But it's just like showcasing the next line of S&D talent coming down the pipeline, which I think is good. Honestly, we need some revival in that area. I know. It can be, things can be really, really hype. Like back in Black Ops 3 and all that when S&D was just like the thing.
Popping, yeah.
That's how we discover our simps and how we discover our like Dashies. Illy. That's how we discover all these people.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty cool. I think that's
But,
basically all for the news this
I don't
week,
even
right?
know who the S&D stars nowadays are.
Well, because they kind of been the same group of people for a while. So I think this would be a good way to make it happen for people.
Yeah.
This is why I'm excited for it. So check it out.
That's it for the news.
Oh, baby. Okay, so
Nice.
I think we're going to go straight into our predictions today because I think we have a lot to talk about. We can kind of break down the matches for this weekend through that. So without further ado, let's get into the predictions. Let's get it. Oh, baby. Predictions. Let's go. Week freaking 3. So basically, we're going to be going through game by game predictions, and then we'll be breaking it down, kind of using it as our kind of breakdown space for the previous week and just going through it all. So we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, this first one is a very interesting one. Paris versus Ultra.
It shouldn't be interesting, but it is. How rough is it that Paris have gotten reverse swept in 2 of the last 3 games?
I know.
versus Rokkr and Ravens. Like those are two like games that,
and then you lose to NYSL.
I know, dude. Like they're in such a rough spot.
I know. And then when Jimbo does not feel like he's the fix. I mean, it seems unlikely it turns around. I mean, it's possible it does, but it seems really unlikely. Like,
I don't know what the fix is. To be
and
honest.
I have to agree with I've got to agree with Zuma too, man. Like John has these moments. He has these moments of like looking like John, you know, up like Black Ops 3 John, the golden era. But then it's just you can't count on it, man. I don't understand.
We even saw it against London, those first two maps. I mean, again, that was when Gizmo, I mean, you know, Zero said they were getting the rust off because they only had 2 days to practice with Gizmo since he got back. But I don't know. John was going off in that. He went like, what, 32 and 23 in that first hard point on Berlin. And like that was the map that they looked great and they were winning. And then I don't know, man. We see those moments and then it doesn't ever stick around. What do you think causes that?
I don't know.
It's hard to dial in on.
Yeah. Because obviously there was a shift, right? When he had his break and he came back, and still one of the weirdest mysteries of all Call of Duty is that weird
it is
break.
Tough.
You know, I don't know if it's he never quite adapted to just like, you know, like I feel like there was definitely a shift. The new era, right? There's like kind of a new way to play Call of Duty. It just wasn't the same.
Slide canceling.
Right.
Slide canceling.
Since BO4. But it's even different with the new engines.
Exactly.
Squad spawns.
You know, can you call it that? Maybe. Is it kind of been rough with him to like not have quite the most solid squad around him? Maybe. You know, because you think about it, he was on the kind of wavering LA Thieves squad when they like rotated every other day,
right? And he was brought in as an emergency, as a Hail Mary. And
then now with Paris, he's kind of required to be that, you know, mainstay slayer. And so I don't know, man. But then that gets in the conversation of how.
I mean, he might have needed to be able to go through the trenches a little more.
Yeah, and like, you know, what's the true opportunity? You know, like, can I give him all these excuses and still like at some point you can't keep giving excuses for him, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, like at this point, he's not the worst player on his team so far. Since Jimbo's joined, he has been the worst player on their team.
Yeah.
Even though he looked a little bit better these last two series, but like, and you know, you'd imagine he gets at least continually improved as time goes on with the squad. And like, I think you can kind of see what they're trying to do. They're trying to do the whole like Cammy Bance combo with Jimbo being the really fast player, then, you know, as Kleenex, and then John being the more Bance-like tactical player. But it feels like there's just a lot of coordination issues with his team. And when you're losing to NYSL like that and getting 100-point club like they did, it's just like, that's a really bad sign. Yeah. It's a really bad sign. And Jimbo went 10 and 26 in that map.
Yeah. I mean, at what point do we start talking about the coaching squadrons? I always like to bring it up. I always think coaching is a topic we should be talking about more of. Sometimes a roster needs a coach switch.
That's fair. I mean,
it's hard to gauge though. Like, you know, right now it's hard
because you also got to create the vibes with the team.
The only player that we know gets this game is Temp, and he's getting his kills. But at the same time, it's like we've seen a lot of examples in the past Call of Duties where one player fries, the rest of the team's not, and you know there might be more to the story than that. Like it's hard to know, but like Temp has definitely been playing well this year, and he seems to be able to win the gunfights he needs to win. But then it's like there's just not the next player to find to kill them, not the players there to find the trades, and there's not been a rhyme or reason as to what's causing it. Not one to easily dial in on, at least so far.
Yeah,
so,
it just looks chaotic sometimes.
The problem is like, yeah, like who's the player or players that, you know, do you try to find two new SMGs to pair with Gravity and Temp? Do you try just a new SMG over John? Do you try just a different SMG than Jimbo? Like there's just so many different ways you could go. I'm not sure which one's the right way to go.
I don't think. Yeah, I think it's definitely an SMG switch. I don't think it's an AR problem. You either need to make like a whole new, like a 2-man switch. I just don't know if you can keep trying these one SMG switches.
It's just so weird because it's like, they beat the Legion in the tournament. Then you sub out for Jimbo with Fellow. Mm-hmm. Then you bring in, you're up 2-0 on the Rokkr, get reverse swept. Then you're up 2-0 on London, get reverse swept. It's just like, at least they're winning maps, but.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is at least they're getting to that two. Like they've got to get a control win. They just need to get defense on control.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They beat the Subliners, but the Subliners with their new roster, that makes sense that they won the control. So I don't know if you're Paris, do you make a change now or do you wait till after stage 2 to just see what happens with Jimbo?
I'd wait, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, been so close. Like it's there. Like they can win, and they're not like an easy team to play. Like they can surprise.
For sure.
I mean, at this point though, too, it's like when you think about the bigger picture of COD champs, knowing the top 8 are only going, man, it's like,
yeah,
I think you at this point in the game, you gotta try, you gotta try everything, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, like pro points wise, there's only 2 more stages because there's no pro points for the pro am.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's only prize pool. So
and we're back.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, welcome back. So it's a tough spot to be in for Paris. I mean, I agree. Like you almost have to sort of make a change, but at the same time, it's like, does a change give you any better chance than what you have right now to win 2 series or 3 series over the next 3-4 matches? So I don't know. Seems unlikely, and we could be in for some surprises. Yeah. So as for this match specifically with Toronto,
I was going to say, I mean, when it comes to Hardpoint, both are pretty much the same spot.
Well, yeah, with Toronto, it again in a weird, really, really weird, tough to decipher spot too. Like since the major,
they have not won a Hardpoint in the last 4. Okay. They did win one against Rokkr, but
yeah, they won both of them against Rokkr. But that's a Rokkr.
But even then, like against the Breach, they didn't win one. Against the Ravens, they didn't win one. Against the Thieves, they didn't win one. Like they are struggling. They are
one of the worst hardpoint teams without a doubt.
Yeah, just pretty crazy. Which again, coming from this squad last year, top 2 easy.
Right. The only question
is going on?
Last year they brought in Insight around stage 2, and then it started clicking for the whole team. So maybe they're just slow learners.
And you're right. I mean, that's true, actually.
But again, that was obviously them bringing in Insight dominating.
Yeah. I just don't know, though. To be this poor at Hardpoint at this point in the game seems very uncharacteristic of the squad. I mean, even
right, we are,
like,
4.5 months into the game.
Yeah, like what in the world? But when it comes to this matchup specifically, I think Toronto obviously has the edge. I don't think they could probably they'll probably lose at least one Hardpoint, if not both.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they could win both. They could win 3-0. I mean,
they could. Yeah, it's just hard though. Like with like their performances, given I mean they've played FaZe, twice in the last 4 matches, and so that's hard too. But when it comes to like Rokkr and Breach, how I guess that depends on what you think of those teams by themselves.
Right. Well, at this point, Breach is definitely leads like a top 6 team for sure. I mean, they've been playing great, and I did Power Rankings video today. I had no spoiler alert. I had him at 5.
Whoa.
They just beat Ultra, and Ultra iffy. I mean, like you have to have Breach above the Ultra. Or I had him at 4, right? No, yeah, 4. And they were right there. So long story short, I think the Ultra win this either 3-1 or 3-0. I mean, this feels pretty locked in.
Mm-hmm. I think Paris will take a Hardpoint, honestly. 3-1 Toronto.
I have 3-1 Toronto.
I mean, it's not like they couldn't win a control or couldn't win a Hardpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It's in theory possible for them to win any of the maps, but I'm gonna go Ultra 3-0. I'm gonna go a hot 3-0.
Dang. Starting off.
I think with like the Ultra, though they looked pretty sloppy against FaZe at times, especially on like that Tuscan Hardpoint against FaZe. they could have easily won it. I mean, they had every chance to win it.
Yeah.
And they even had rotations. Like after P3, they spawned up and you're like, Kleenex hit old with like 6 seconds left on old. And you're like, that is so unlike him. And to be fair, the last 2 matches Kleenex has been sick. He said he woke up at the morning of the Breach match not feeling well, and then he tested positive for COVID the morning of the FaZe match. So the next day. So he said he was feeling really, really bad. So that could come into play, but he actually played respectably well in both these series, even while sick.
Yeah, I will say too, like the Ultra versus Breach. I mean, that could have easily been a 3-0 Ultra. Like,
oh my word, they threw the Bocage. I have it up right now. Yeah. They're currently up by 80. 200 like 10 to 120.
Yeah,
like they ease, and that's Bocage.
I know.
How do you lose 210 to 120? I mean, that's insane. So yeah. So Ultra just uncharacteristically not icy this year.
Yeah, which is weird.
So we'll see,
again, they'll
be icy against Toronto or against Paris.
Yeah, this could be a situation where recency bias. They lost 2-3-2s. Last
with
2 matches.
Player who was sick, and
with a player who's sick. Like,
they also had the tough situations with Cammy having COVID and being out, and so they've had a weird like month and a half or so of like some inconsistency.
Are we kind of beating them down because considering they did beat Breach in the major as well on LAN? So
yeah, it's possible.
It's hard, but yeah.
I mean,
think they got some more
as far as I fully expect Toronto to be just fine after stage 2. And who knows? They could win this series. Well, they have Paris and New York as their matches.
Oh,
so it's like they could win both of these. Then they'd be 3-2 starting in winners, and then you never know with Ultra. So
I was gonna say, this week is probably the week they need to like regroup and
get ready for the major. Like they could be a fun pick for the major. It'll be interesting. All right, next up. I forgot. Yeah, I'm going Ultra 3-0. So LA Thieves LAG. The battle of the LAs became a lot mixier lately. So LA Thieves, a lot to talk about LA Thieves this week.
Yes.
So far, they're 0-3 in stage 3 coming off the major. So they've lost 4 matches in a row since they lost to FaZe at the major. FaZe, London, OpTic, Rokkr. They got reverse swept by the Rokkr this weekend after 2 really solid maps. Obviously, the first map was really close on Berlin. They came back and won. It was really impressive from LAT. And then they just choke. Get reverse swept, and somehow Minnesota does it again. So where are you at with LA Thieves right now?
Thieves, I'm not too worried about.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not.
Why?
Their
opponents?
So
3 of their last 4 are FaZe, London, and OpTic.
FaZe, lost to London, lost to OpTic.
Then lost composure against Rokkr.
Lost composure, which again, I personally still have OpTic, FaZe, London as like top 4.
Oh, they're top. Yeah, I would say they're all top 3.
Exactly. And then of course, Rokkr, I don't know, like part of me just wants to like throw it as like, that's like Major Maniac's curse, like he's just like, he's the clutch master, I feel like.
Right. The problem is that Hardpoint was Thieves' thing. Like that was their thing. And now they, you split Hardpoints with Rokkr, and it was a 4-point game on Berlin. And they're horrible at S&D. What are they? Like, they're just absolutely awful at S&D. Yeah, they're 6-11 right now at S&D, which I think in my notes I had is the second. It's the worst win percentage in the CDL. In S&D, the Mutineers are 4-7 at second worst.
That's rough.
And so it's like, and they won the Tuscan against the Rokkr, which was a pretty nice win. But even my word, that Bocage was awful. Yeah,
I would assume too that they won the toss because they're playing Vutu control, and they lost it. Which is like, oh crap! Like like when you're losing your bread and butter, that's pretty rough too.
I think that's where they kind of like
oh crap,
out. Like they're supposed to win that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, against Rokkr. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah,
definitely. So I don't know. Should I be worried? Maybe, but doesn't it seem like Rokkr always kind of does this though? Like they'll just like upset again. They came back against Ultra on LAN last year. down.
Oh, for sure. I mean, again,
maps.
it's
So,
never
like,
chalked.
Exactly. It's never chalked. And again, the other losses have come from the top 3 teams. So I'm just not too worried because also like looking at Gorillas too. Yeah, they beat Surge, but what have their other wins been against? I mean, they beat Paris, then lost to Florida,
That's the thing with
lost
LAG.
to Rokkr, lost to London, lost to Rokkr. They did beat London in week 2 of Major 1, but like the only like wins have been Subliners, Paris, and Rokkr, and then Surge, of course. So
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at their most recent matches, it's just not that impressive. Like,
no. Which like,
and it depends what you think about the Surge.
definitely.
But again, the Surge are an absolute enigma at this point because
Yeah,
they beat FaZe, compete with OpTic, then lose to LAG with some horrible maps.
There's like 1,000 enigmas, even though there's only 12 teams.
Yeah, I know.
Rokkr is
It's
really
actually
annoying.
crazy.
Florida's really annoying. Surge is really annoying right now.
The middle 5 is just
It's
depressingly
like,
bad.
Please show us some like actual like
Thieves,
stats
Rokkr,
that
Surge, Mutineers, LAG. Those 5 teams are just
I
like
know.
depressingly
that can actually
hard to
converge.
sort
I can
out.
actually like know what I'm talking about. But so yeah, I'm taking the stance that Thieves have had a really rough schedule. And Gorillas, I'm just not too optimistic about at this point. Right now, I do want the squad to actually like be good. Truly, I do. I love the matchups with the squad. I love the roles that these players play.
Yeah.
I just think they need to figure it out and get all on the same page. But I think this is gonna be a 3-1 Thieves. Truly.
I wonder what maps they're gonna play because the thing about LAG is they're
Yeah,
just
let's see
like
what we got.
still pretty one-dimensional. They're good on Berlin. If they play Berlin hardpoint, they're really good.
That's
But,
true. Otherwise, they're either even or I guess Gavutu, they're 2-1 as well.
Well, yeah, they beat the Surge on Gavutu, so that'd be the question. So I would imagine LAG is gonna try to play Gavutu against LAT, and that's LAT's wanting to kind of go a different direction with it.
Yeah.
So we more likely see a Gavutu.
Yeah, don't play Berlin or Tuscan or Gavutu.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see which way they want to go.
Yeah.
And like in S&D, they've basically only been good on Berlin, and Surge have been, and LAT's been awful on Berlin.
Mhm.
They're 0-5. So they're not playing that against Gorillas. So this could go either way. I'm torn. Rex, where are you at? What is your thoughts? Is there a question you have? I mean, Octane, Kenny, Draws. I mean, like, Envoy feels like the player who has the highest slaying upside right now for this team. But like, Kenny's had his maps, and then Draws and Octane have been the question marks in the last 3 or 4 matches.
I still have faith in Draza. I'm trying to look at LAG and who, like, they 3-0'd Paris. They lost to Mutineers 0-3.
Yeah, it was round 11 S&D and a really close Bokosh hardpoint.
And then who'd they play at the OpTic Texas one? They got beat by Rokkr 3-0.
Yeah, twice. They lost to Rokkr twice. And then
they took London to a game 5, but then they lost.
Yeah.
So it just seems like they've just been getting blown out, except for against Ravens, against teams that I think LA Thieves are better than. So I think I'm taking LA Thieves 3-1, same as Sam.
Ah, man. LA Thieves 3-1 makes a lot of sense, but bro, I don't know. It's hard to put faith in this team right now.
I think you're doubting them too hard. Like,
I agree. I think if Thieves loses this, then we have a real problem.
Oh,
then
if-
something
if
interesting
Thieves
is
lose-
happening. Yeah, I mean, they're going game 5 against FaZe. I mean,
Right.
they
So,
beat Rokkr 3-1 at the OpTic Major.
I'm going to go LAT 3-1, but I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about it at all. I think the Berlin X factor there is I think that they can win S&Ds against LAG if they're not playing on Berlin.
I think they just
So-
got tilted, honestly, against Rokkr.
Yeah.
Like something happened in the control maybe, and things just kind of went downhill a little bit for them.
For sure. So I like the 3-1 prediction. I think I'll stick with that with you guys. So, all right, next one up. FaZe in Florida. And talk about, again, Florida, an interesting team. They 3-0'd LAG. They 3-0'd the Subliners. Then they played an incredibly competitive series against OpTic that ended up being a 3-0. but the Bocage was really competitive. The Berlin OpTic looked better on Berlin. But yeah, I mean, it was a really close series, and we keep seeing the freaking slaying upside from this squad. And like, I always get so impressed with the slaying and the gun skill on this team. But again, it just breaks down, and you never really know when it's gonna happen. Once in a while, it just ticks. I mean, again, they beat LAG and they beat NYSL. They beat the Surge in week 3 last stage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. They feel like a middling team that could be anyone, but also could lose to anyone.
I haven't officially looked it up, but they've had to have played the least amount of maps. I feel like they either get 3-0'd or they 3-0.
I could get the information right here. They have played very few maps. They've played 32. So yeah, they played the least. Yeah,
it's just crazy to me. So it's like
because the Subliners have played 34.
So it's like even harder to like get a read on them too. Like where it's like they don't have a lot of maps that they've played.
No,
they've yet to play a Berlin hardpoint. They're 5-3 on Bocage. And
yeah, that is crazy how many 3-0s they have. I didn't really even notice that.
Yeah, it's just a wild, it's a weird team to try to predict.
Yeah, they've got 3-0'd 3 times, and they've 3-0'd teams twice.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
It's just weird.
They play in FaZe 3-0. FaZe 3-0.
Oh, you're going with the trends. Oh, I see. That makes a lot of sense.
I know, but dude, this FaZe team is still good.
FaZe is tough to predict too.
They're
map count wise.
Yeah, with maps, I'm saying I think FaZe are obviously going to win. But when it comes
Florida
to
could win a control.
I think so. Honestly, if they win,
Florida's 6-3 in control.
Yeah, I was going to say if they win the toss, play Gavutu.
FaZe lost to Surge. Isn't that wild? I just can't even.
Yeah, it is. To be fair though, Mutineers would much rather play Tuscan. I think. Let me look. Yeah, they're 5-2 on Tuscan. So maybe try to. But then, do you really want to square off against FaZe?
Don't square off against FaZe on Tuscan.
And also, the Mutineers want to play Bocage, and so does FaZe. So I don't know. We could see them try to play a Bocage and Tuscan
I don't think
combo.
there's anything Florida's gonna be able to pick that is gonna be bad again.
No, there isn't. Because
FaZe is gonna beat them on every map. I think
the only places that Florida has
control. Maybe
look, Florida's 3-0s. They beat Surge, Bocage, Hardpoint, Tuscan control. Bocage, Hardpoint, Tuscan control against Gorillas. Subliners, Bocage, Hardpoint, Tuscan control, and those are FaZe's 2 best maps.
Again, they've played 12 hardpoints.
FaZe is gonna ego chow that.
They've played 12 hardpoints, and 8 of them have been Bocage.
And that's why everyone's and then in engagement stats, everyone's like, dude, the Subliners. Dude, the Mutineers. I'm like, all right, let's calm down a little bit here.
Yeah, which honestly, again though, because Ogre 2 replied to you. What did they say? He said that Berlin's been.
He said Berlin's been their best map, but people haven't want to play them on it, so they've been vetoing against them.
You wonder if FaZe are going to veto Berlin, even though they're 1-on-1 on it. I guess that is their worst map.
Berlin definitely feels like it would be Florida's best map. But
yeah, the dominant AR presences combined with Mixie in building plays, I could see it.
I hope FaZe takes them on that.
I don't want to do another 3-1 here, boys, but do I do another 3-1?
No.
I'm gonna go FaZe 3-0, man. I think they're gonna ego challenge them on Bocage and Tuscan.
Is FaZe kind of nervous though right now with
I mean.
No, I think they're fine, aren't they? They're fine.
They're fine.
I'm gonna do boring. I know, boring. 3-1.
No, that's logical. That's logical. And again,
it's just without
a doubt, Florida can take a control. That's very possible.
Yeah,
3-1 seems very likely.
I think so too.
And that's hedging your bets too, which is also nice. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Seattle versus LA Thieves.
This is Seattle's moment. To decide. This
is the deciding moment
to be talked about in this upper echelon conversation.
Unless LAT lost to LAG, then LAT just absolutely sucks.
It's just well, it doesn't matter anymore.
So they better hope LA Thieves win, and then they better hope that they beat LA Thieves.
That is funny.
Yeah.
But
how do you feel about Pred and Sib, Mac? How do you feel about this team at this point? Because with Mac, I mean, he's good in control. He's been solid in control, but in S&D, it's been a problem.
Yeah.
I would definitely say Mac is their X factor. Wouldn't you say? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's been like he's,
when he dominates, they dominate.
He's able to go
Which is
off.
weird because all of them are kind of the X factors still. Because at
True.
times Sib's the one just like unkillable on the map, and you're like, what the hell?
Like
that's what happened against OpTic. They won the map one against OpTic on Bokaj because Sib and Pred couldn't lose a gunfight.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's hard. I think Seattle still like they've shown that they can be amazing. I mean, truly, like they've obviously beaten FaZe and but it's the inconsistency, which is like,
I know, but then they're facing off against LAT, and you're like, oh gosh.
I know.
These matches are pure. These literally could go either way. It's so difficult.
Yeah, this could be another rough one for me for predictions. But again, like if I'm going off of my thoughts earlier, that Thieves like are going to be okay. They've just had an insanely hard schedule thus far.
Right. I mean, the other side of the coin is that the Surge. I mean, they beat FaZe, but outside of that, they're 1-7 in their last 8 matches. Yeah. 1-7 in their last 8 matches, but they have a win against FaZe.
Mm-hmm. And the Kickoff Classic.
Right.
Which so again happened. This happened last year too with Surge. I mean, obviously it was a different team with Surge, but Surge just has FaZe's number for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I think they've been gunning for that like beating FaZe thing really hard. I feel like in their camp.
Right. Yeah. The problem with the LA Thieves, though, is that they've been so unclutch and they've been so bad in Game 5s and S&Ds.
That is true.
That it's like, I have no faith in them with series that are going to be mixy like this one. Yeah. So it's like, it's hard to pick
5,
Thieves.
I'd pick Surge. I would pick Surge in a Game 5.
Thieves, yeah, like I said, Thieves are 6-11 in S&D.
Taking the 3-0.
Like I said, Thieves are 6-11 in S&D, 1-4 in Game 5s now.
That's
I don't know, man.
Rough.
I'm going to go Thieves 3-1.
Thieves don't like the marathon. They don't. Rokkr, they like the marathon.
Oh yeah.
Thieves, they don't like going to that Game 5. If they get there, then that feels like they're chalked.
It's crazy because like these are veterans. Well, aside from Draza, but like they're veterans that have been known for composure in their careers. So it's like it is surprising.
It is weird. I guess Surge would probably veto either. For S&D, they're probably going to veto Bokaj?
I don't know. I mean,
they're both 2-1 Bokaj.
Probably Tuscan.
Maybe Tuscan.
Although Thieves has been decent. No, how's Thieves been on Tuscan? They're okay.
Thieves are 3-3. So
I think Thieves has just got to veto Berlin because the Surge actually like playing Berlin, even though they haven't been great at it. I would just veto Berlin, challenge on the other ones.
True.
Yeah, I'm taking Thieves also.
That is a really tough prediction.
That's insane.
This prediction will change depending on what happens, how they look in the LAG series. If that goes Game 5 or something and they barely win it and like I don't know. It's really tough. What are your guys? Rex, what's your prediction?
I'm going to do Thieves. I'm going to do Thieves 3.
Well, while you're thinking about that, do you think a role change between Kenny and Draza could help? Because there's been a lot of conversation about that in like on Twitter and on Reddit. I think if I remember seeing our tweet right, that's kind of our intelligent or relevant. So maybe we save that conversation for the end.
I think we should save that because that is indeed our intelligente.
Exactly. All right, you're going 3-0?
I'm going 3-0. I'm going with the whole bold and brash here.
Oh, bold and brash. Rex or Sam?
Man, I feel like I can see a Seattle 3-2, man. I just feel like
I know.
That
it feels on brand for them.
Possible, and I'm going to do it. I know I said it. LA Thieves are going to be fine, but man, part of me is like, I think.
But do you think Seattle's going to be okay too? Like
that's some doubt. That's some doubt on Thieves, Sam. I'm a bit surprised.
I do. I'm not like.
Did the Rokkr loss shake you that much?
Yeah, I feel like I've been super confident like on some of these teams in my predictions, but I feel like there's just a lot more variance that happens in these games. Exactly. So it's like, yes, I think Thieves have played a hard schedule, and like I think that like they're gonna be fine, but this game just kind of seems like this could just be a Seattle 3-2, just based on matchups. Just just kind of matchups, but then also just kind of like the variance that is Vanguard. I don't know. It's this game has been the most frustrating to predict, honestly. Cold War, there was some frustrating
There's like
games.
5 Florida Mutineers from Cold War in this game.
Like last year, I was just worried
half
about
the league is Florida.
Yeah. Last year, I was just worried about Rokkr in Florida. Now I'm worried about like half the teams.
Yeah, no, it's actually insane. It is. So the next match is Boston and the Florida Mutineers. So this Boston team's interesting, man. I mean, we're starting to see some consistency from Tej.
Yeah.
And we saw the best Zinni we've seen this weekend, this season.
Yeah, he looked good.
So when you start pairing a consistent Tej across all 3 game modes now, to then with Zinni, I mean, this team has gotten dangerous real quick suddenly. The question is, can they beat an elite team? But good news for them is that the Mutineers aren't yet in that category.
No.
Because at this point, Breach's, elite win would be against the Ultra, but I don't think anyone would say the Ultra have been playing elite Call of Duty right now. So
no.
Yeah, because really Breach's losses have come from FaZe, Subliners, unfortunately, OpTic, FaZe, and Ultra, but then they just beat Ultra. So it's like, honestly, that's a pretty good, like, those are good teams to lose to, besides Subliners, which I think every team's going to have one of those.
For sure. And with younger players, it's like those earlier on the years, a little bit more excusable. Mm-hmm. So that's a tough. The Breach feel like a team you have to kind of make a statement on here, but I don't think you need to make a statement for them to say they're going to beat the Mutineers. They beat them 3-2 last time in the major. We saw Bokaj, Tuscan, Desert Siege. Feels like we could see a fairly similar map set overall. The problem is like the Mutineers are going to win. I mean, at this point, it feels everything points to the Mutineers winning controls. So like this is going to at least a game 4. And if it's going to a game 4, it feels likely that it's going to a game 5. And so it's like, okay, in a game 5, who do you trust? I don't know. That's kind of how my thought process is going.
Honestly, I kind of wonder if I kind of wonder if Breach are going to actually ban Bokaj hardpoint. That's their worst hardpoint right now.
Really?
Yeah, they're 4-1 Berlin, they're 4-1 Gavutu, and 2-1 Tuscan, and they're 4-5 Bokaj.
Oh, interesting.
So honestly, they might just ban Bokaj, and then
should.
That puts them in honestly like a way better position.
Again, every series Florida that the Mutineers has win, it's because they've won a Bokaj.
So I guys, here's my kind of boldish. I think Boston 3-0.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, they're going to win a control.
Florida is the most 3-0 team, right? I mean, it's.
But they're going to win a control?
You think so?
Breach are going to win a control against Florida? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Breach are 3-9 in control.
They are.
Florida's
they need to win. They obviously need to win the.
It has to be Gavutu
and play. Yeah,
and the Breach are 1-6 on Gavutu. Mutineers are just so good on Tuscan. I don't know, bro.
I would say honestly, win the coin toss first, and then just play Gavutu. Honestly, just take the chance.
Defense wins.
Yeah,
also,
just hope.
We saw Thieves lose on Gavutu, so
yeah,
anything's possible, man.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. Oh man, I mean, I'm leaning Boston. But I don't know. I mean, I would hope we get to see a Berlin hardpoint. That's what I want to see, because I want to see the so-called great Mutineers on Berlin hardpoint, because the Breach want to play it too. So like, I think we could see a Berlin and maybe a Tuscan probably, or maybe a Gavutu. But at this, it just depends on like, do we really think that they're actually that good? I don't know, because Brian Saint's out there saying that the Rokkr haven't lost a control or a hard point against FaZe or OpTic or whatever in their most recent scrims, and we're not seeing that in game at all. So it's harder to replicate in game. I'm gonna go Boston 3-2. So we're agreeing on winners here, but we're not agreeing on map counts. I'll go. No. I think this is gonna go the distance.
It's very possible. Again,
I like both these teams a lot. I really like both these teams.
Yeah, I'm doing Boston 3-1. I don't know if I said that, but Boston 3-1.
There you go. All right, boys. Texas LAG OpTic. I mean,
nothing.
There's not much to say here, right?
No.
The question is, does OpTic drop a map or not? So far, they 3-0'd the Mutineers in a really close one.
They could try to actually like this could be a match where they expand their map pool, or at least try to.
Well, see, that's the question. I don't think they will because they play FaZe. And so if they lose this, then it would make FaZe a must-win match.
True. And they wouldn't, they wouldn't want to play Berlin because Berlin is LAG's best.
Yeah, you definitely will not play Berlin. Yeah. No. They're going to try to win this.
Yeah, no, 3-0 for sure.
We're kind of on the same page this week. I'm going to go 3-0 as well.
That's true. I didn't really think about the whole playing FaZe,
Right. Because right now, OpTic has a 5-point lead and they've played one less map. So this, because FaZe only plays one this week. Or I'm sorry, FaZe plays 2 as well. So I guess it kind of depends. So because if they win, like I said, if they win this match, it makes the FaZe match, you don't have to win it. So then they can work on their map pool against FaZe, which I think is what they really want to do. So
makes sense.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Not much there. I mean, I think OpTic's, it's just more about a vote of confidence in OpTic. They've just been so good.
They've given us no reason to doubt them at this point, right?
No, exactly.
Recently.
So next one is New York and Minnesota. Talk about an interesting one, boys.
I mean, yeah, honestly.
I'm excited to see this new look. I'm just excited to see this new look Subliners in a series that's at least in theory winnable because you're playing against a bad hardpoint team in the Rokkr. So it's like at least in theory winnable.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's definitely that feeling of, man, it's an exciting team to watch and everything, but let's not forget that they have only just beaten Paris. So it's kind of hard to when you look at it. But I mean,
but the turnaround was big.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. That's the thing.
I think they look like they 360'd that as a team. Like they look a lot better.
And that was on they actually look 4 days, 3 days practice or something. Like it was like a very little practice.
Yeah. And they're kind of riding a high right now.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Riding a high though.
I was gonna say Rokkr's been
Rokkr runs marathons. I don't know.
But they lost 3-0 to Breach. They almost lost to Paris too.
Well, let's think matchups here. Standy Hydra. My vote's Hydra. And then you have Attach and Paul X.
Probably Attach, but it's
probably
close.
Attach.
Priest and Neptune,
honestly.
I don't know.
I've been so down on Priesta.
I don't know, man.
Down on Priesta, but
I know.
I mean,
I don't like how Neptune plays. Neptune is really hit or miss.
I'd go Priesta.
I think I would choose Priesta.
Major Maniac
also.
Crim, I'd go Crim.
Not an S&D. Not an
I don't
S&D.
know. Crim's been nice in S&D this year.
Maybe I judge Crim's as S&D play. I just remember them playing that. This was before Paul X was on it, but they played the Bocage S&D, and somebody was on outer tank. It was A-bomb, and he I don't know. I never like it when Crim is the last alive in S&D.
I mean, as an AR, it makes sense it's going to happen quite a bit.
I mean, Subliners are definitely the worst S&D team, though. Rokkr at least have 2 good S&D maps, and Subliners don't really have any. I mean, they're okay on...
They do okay. Subliners do okay in S&D sometimes. They do okay in S&D.
Yeah,
they just don't have any reps, saying right?
Rokkr are the better team when it comes to S&D.
But. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely they're a team that's played more S&D, and we expect them to be better in S&D.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hardpoint at this point, I mean, the Subliners are 2-13. The Rokkr are 6-13. I truly with this improved Subliners, it's honestly hard to know who's a better hardpoint team.
True.
Could be.
I don't think it's that crazy. I mean, what? The Rokkr's last 2 hardpoint wins were against
Thieves.
The last
Paris.
3 hardpoint wins were against LAG. They split them against Paris, and they split them against Thieves.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is very winnable for New York.
What are we getting? If you choose New York, it's very much I don't know, you're kind of gambling.
They'd be massive underdogs. It would be very risky.
It's but they could, because they might be pretty good now, and they might be able to beat Rokkr.
Could this be a surprising 3-1? I think it's possible.
For sure. It's totally in the realm of possibility.
I'm not quite there, boys. 3-2 Minnesota.
I feel like this is a pick I could change my mind on. This is a pick I definitely could change my mind on as we get closer.
Really good.
Oh man, I'm tempted, boys. I can feel
Someone's
the
gotta do
winds
it.
calling me.
Someone's got to do it.
I'm choosing New York.
It's
Of course,
scary.
I'm choosing New York.
Oh, of course you're choosing. You're a Rokkr hater. B, you're a New York fanboy. It makes sense.
New York 3-1.
Oh man.
Ooh, it's gonna feel good too.
I think you went.
I respect it.
Damn it, Sam! You went 3-2. I was hoping we were going to go not 3-2.
The 3-2 makes sense.
I wanted to go 3-2. Yeah, I'm gonna. I don't have the balls to do it right now. I'm gonna go Minnesota 3-2. But again, I really don't dislike the New York 3-1 take. I like it a lot. We'll see.
It's there. It's either going to be. We'll see what happens. I don't know what to expect.
Because I mean, like Rokkr. I mean, it's not like the Rokkr have been incredible. Like they haven't been awe-inspiring in control either.
No, there's nothing about Rokkr. It's like
It's only the S&Ds.
Right.
And they've only been good on Berlin. Like they've been 5-1 on Berlin. And so like the Subliners aren't going to play Berlin. So it's like take your chances on a Bocage or like a Tuscan or something. I don't know.
I mean, they're 3-1 on Bocage too, man.
You got to think about the control.
Right.
Who do you think is going to come
That's
out
what I'm
with
saying. The control's winnable. I mean, right, the Subliners are the Rokkr are 4-7. Subliners are 4-5.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, I mean,
It's whoever gets
doable.
defense. This comes down to whoever gets
And
defense on
really,
control.
all of Subliners' stats are somewhat useless at this point because they just made a roster change. But it's like, same with
Right.
Paris's. But all right,
Kinda.
I don't know, man. I'll stick with the 3-2 Minnesota, but I don't love it. I mean, because more than likely they'll get reverse. It'll be a reverse sweep. So all right, London, Boston, last 3 matches here.
London.
I mean, Sam, how do you feel about London?
I still feel good, man. I do.
you should.
Again, for some reason, whatever reason, close match against Paris. But lost to FaZe, beat Thieves, beat Subliners, lost to FaZe again.
You know, Zero
Lost
blamed it
OpTic.
on the slow start because of Gizmo, lack of practice with Gizmo.
Yeah.
They were on 2 days of practice off Gizmo coming back from Europe.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I liked how Gizmo played when he came back.
Oh yeah,
I
same.
thought he was really good. And then his interview was really good too.
Yeah.
He gives really good interviews.
Yeah,
Actually,
like
I like how
I'm becoming a Ravens fan. Not
I
gonna
mean,
lie.
as you should.
joined the bandwagon.
As you
Yeah.
should.
I mean, the only thing is like right now London's 3-0 in game 5. So it's like, you know, their season could have looked different if you lose some of those.
Mm-hmm. True.
But to be fair, you go back and look at them and a lot of them are like pretty solid wins. The only one that wasn't was the OpTic round 11 in week 1. I don't know, man.
Yeah. There's still some things that London can be better. I still think they get a little bit like
Over like
I call it AMs versus AMs. Like they just get a little like wild.
Mhm.
And like you kind of lose some of this team stuff and they're just really trying to just slay out.
yeah, usually I think it's nasty. He gets a little bit crazy sometimes.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I thought FaZe, I talked about this in the video, but I thought FaZe did a really good job on the Tuscan hardpoint of like, because like on Tuscan, London just loves hitting these routes for rotations and FaZe spread the map, played creddy corners on
Dude,
rotations, and we're just
FaZe
finding
is-
easy picks.
FaZe is another level. Like,
And
FaZe
it was
is
just
really
like, I thought the
good.
prep was really, really impressive there. So the bigger thing here is like, this is like Boston. This is Boston's like, can they hang with the big boys match? Because right now, London's
If they do, it's
one of
gonna
the
be
3
off
balanced
brains.
teams. Because really in the CDL right now, there's only 3 balanced teams and it's London, FaZe, and OpTic who are actually legitimately top half in all 3 game modes.
Yeah.
And Boston's just not there in control at all. Like this is obviously London's winning the control.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Well,
Both.
Boston's a fringe good team.
Yeah.
Like,
Both very
I think this
impressive
could
at
go the
hard
distance
point.
though.
And then Breach obviously is not too shabby in S&D, of course.
Breach's S&D is Capsule's instincts in S&D are really impressive. I swear he just makes some insanely good plays, heads up plays.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean this definitely feels like 3-1 London lose the S&D. However, Boston's hardpoint has been looking good too. So I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I'm going to go London 3-2. Actually, I'm going to go. This is a little bit closer than I think we think.
That is something to look out for. I will say
for sure. But, all right, fair enough. This is the match of the week. This is the one that counts as double points for us this week, and this is the match everybody's looking for. This is why we made the marquee match. It is FaZe v OpTic heading into the major. So the question is, probably the biggest X factor heading into this would be the idea of is OpTic really trying to win this?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yes, I mean
that's the real thing. Because if OpTic beats,
I mean, it's not a major championship, but I think I think both teams are going to want to win it.
Because my thought process is that OpTic is gonna win their first match against Florida, and again that will lock them in as the number 1 seed for the major. So that even if they lost to FaZe, they'd still be the number 1 seed. And so then you're like, okay, well, we may as well try to play our worst maps, and we don't really mind if we lose to FaZe.
Mm-hmm.
But FaZe needs to win this to lock in, assuming London wins their matches.
Yeah,
would need to lock in for top 2 seeds. I don't know.
Man, that's hard though, dude. Like, you can obviously take the narrative that like FaZe has kind of been struggling. Obviously, you know, they've lost to Surge, went 3-2 with Ultra.
Right. But OpTic just hasn't played the same level of competition.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Part of me just wants to say,
I mean, the FaZe Ravens win was really solid. Like, that was a very nice win.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say like OpTic, for sure. But honestly, I don't think it's for sure win. I think, oh gosh.
This feels like a game 5.
This feels like game 5. Absolutely does.
I'm taking FaZe game 5.
Which in that point though, dude.
But OpTic's so far been more clutch than FaZe in game 5.
I was going to say,
but I think FaZe has found, I don't know. I think FaZe is going to, they got some passion in their bellies, I think, for this one.
Makes sense. Boy.
I don't know, man.
I legit
it's close.
I am torn.
And the thing is like OpTic's just a far and away better control team. So you lock in almost for sure lock in one map win. I mean, OpTic is just elite in control right now. They're 12-1. FaZe is 8-7. OpTic has shown no sign of slowing down at control.
It is wild.
Sam, what are your thoughts? What's going through your head right now?
Simp has found a stride.
Well, Simp's definitely found a stride. And RCDs has looked better too.
Mm-hmm.
Like since the major, they've looked like they've even stepped up even more so.
But we say that, and their S&D and FaZe's S&D and control is still shaky though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not if they're not Berlin and Desert Siege so far been their good maps. And recently they've had a lot of success on Berlin. So I don't know. I am very torn. Sam?
Yeah, no,
I don't even. Do you think OpTic plays them on Berlin?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, again, I think OpTic is gonna try to play Berlin hardpoint. I think they're gonna try to play some weird maps here.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm thinking, gosh, I don't know, because like we're been saying, pretty much OpTic looks like the better team in like almost every game mode. Obviously, FaZe have this 72% win percentage in hardpoint, whereas OpTic has got the 65%, which again is OpTic just are going to try to expand and play Berlin.
Yeah, I think OpTic is going to be the favorite heading into the major, and then, I will think he is too. But I think this isn't going to matter as much to OpTic, and FaZe really wants this. Like, this is like a revenge match for them. And it means more when it comes to ladders. I think the narrative just makes sense for FaZe to win this. It's like, generally I'm not like a narrative guy, but like this narrative actually matters. Yeah. Like, I'm going to go FaZe 3-2.
Yeah.
Sam, thoughts?
I'm thinking OpTic here, boys. 3-2.
Oh, baby. Get in the mix, Sammy.
I am.
I like it.
I like, part of me thinks like,
I mean, I have no, like I said, if this match means something to OpTic, I would pick OpTic.
Mm-hmm.
But
True.
like, generally, they're going to play their bad maps. I don't think that they're going to try to win this series, like, try hard.
Yeah.
FaZe wants to win the series. FaZe wants to win this series.
No, I definitely see that narrative, and I agree with it. But part of me thinks too, like they just kind of want to stay dominant. You know, I think they.
That's also. I'm sure that matters. Like,
yeah. Plus,
OpTic doesn't want to lose to FaZe.
You know, this is the last map going into, or the last game going into the major too. So
yeah,
it's like,
you want to carry good momentum.
Yeah, so
that's fair. All right, fair enough. New York and Toronto, last one here. We talked about both these teams already, so we don't have to go too far into it. Again, I think New York has a real chance against a team like Minnesota.
Yeah.
But Toronto, though, they're like, Toronto is just like a Minnesota, but I have more faith in them in control. So it's like.
Yeah. I've got Toronto 3-1.
I do too.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think I'm with you there.
Toronto really wants to establish that they're still this like top 3-5 team. So they need to beat New York. And I think they're going to do it. New York's kind of just trying to improve and figure their team out themselves already. So
for sure. Yeah. And like, that's going to matter. That could be the match that potentially decides if Ultra makes the winner's bracket or not. So like, that's going to be a huge match for them, depending on what happened in the previous matches, but that could very possible. Yeah. Rex Bell, me and you were really buddy systeming most of these picks.
Yeah. I had to be the one to vary it up, you know, a little bit.
Yeah. The New York pick was a little bit different, but for the most part, pretty straightforward for the week, I think, overall. With some really interesting. Which match are you guys most excited for? outside of like the OpTic FaZe one, because that's lame.
I
Seattle, LA Thieves for me. At least.
I was just saying, like seeing where LA Thieves actually do stand, I think is going to be extremely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, too, I kind of want to see
Boston, Florida.
New York, Minnesota too, though. You know,
there's actually some very interesting learning matches.
I know. There's actually, there's a ton. So, especially New York. I do hope they continue to improve, and it wasn't just like a one-off versus Paris, and all that. I'm still I'm hesitant on that being the only change needed for that team. But we'll see. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
anything's possible.
This week literally decides like every positioning for the major. So it's going to be insane.
Yeah.
So, all right. With that said, we have our little hot seat debate here. So are there some players like, this weekend is going to determine if some teams make the winner's bracket, make the loser's bracket. Obviously, Jimbo was like,
I was going to say,
he's like Schiff said, he's on the 7 rings of hell still.
Yeah.
When it comes to hot seats, he is burning right now.
It sucks. I mean, especially, like I said before, especially Paris, where it's like now is the time you have to change. You can't be at 10 CDL points for much longer, and still expect to try to make it to champs. So I think Paris for sure. I think Jimbo absolutely is on the hot seat. LA Thieves, I will have this discussion in a minute, but I don't think they need to really try anything crazy at this point. Again, give us some time.
I would say they'll try more. Yeah, like role change seems likely, and then a roster switch. But that would probably be decided by their major performance, not this week.
Yeah, and then
so I would say they're moderately hot seats, but not.
And then
hot.
Also, I feel like too with Toronto and Hixie being on the sub spot.
Really,
if they don't perform well, like they kind of have been kind of shaky, I think Hixie could easily come in,
The surge is interesting too. I think I agree with that. But like the surge is very interesting because if they lose to LA Thieves, I mean, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it doesn't look good for them. That's for sure. Yeah. Cause like the potential is obviously there, but if they're just not performing well, then like something needs to change. And honestly, I don't know who, because again,
that's the toughest thing.
Mac is like the guy like that could easily carry them, to wins. But if he's not consistently performing, maybe you go for a switch there, or maybe you. I don't know.
There's not really any obvious option.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, team chemistry thing maybe.
Yeah, I mean that would be the biggest question. So, okay, and then I don't know. Is there any other team or players that maybe potentially could be a little steamy? I mean, the other options would maybe be like, LAG or Florida potentially, but coming off of wins, they feel like they're in a pretty decent spot right now.
Yeah.
at least. So we'll see.
LAG for sure. It's like that's a team that can definitely like figure it out. But
Again, there's not an obvious change. Gunless would probably be the only one because you have Spart on the bench.
Yeah.
But it is tough.
That's a tough one for sure. Like especially with Slasher on the team.
Okay, so I go Jimbo, John, Neptune, Priesta.
Yeah.
Then after that, it's like choose your player on Surge, Mac, or Accuracy. And then
choose
if things go real wrong for Florida or LAG.
Yeah. I was going to say choose your player on LAG maybe.
Or maybe Ultra if things get real crazy.
Which would be an insane, like if the day ever came, that would be like crazy.
Insane.
But I could definitely see Hixie coming on and, performing well. So I don't know.
Fair. I guess we'll see. So with that said, we have a little more conversation about that to hit here with Intelligent Relevance. So let's get right into it.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
So what do we got going on for Intelligent or Irrelevant, Sam?
So I think it's no secret that LA Thieves have been, very hot in the old conversation topic.
Don't expose them like that.
I know, bro. I mean, they're all hot, but they're also hot on the seat, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
So historically, meaning last year, they've been the team that has made a lot of changes in their rosters. Haven't seen one yet this year. As of now, with their losses, if you're the GM, is it time to make a move? And so here are your three choices.
If you are JCap,
look for a team change, straight up. Second, keep it all the same. Hope for a turnaround with everything the same. Or third, same roster, but new roles. So roster change, leave it all the same, or try new roles with the same roster.
I think people will say roles first.
Yeah, Draza and Kenny, you think?
I feel like you kind of have to go, so at least for my own personal thoughts, I think you have to go the Rokkr route first. Try the swap, see what happens. And then from there, if things are still going real bad, then at that point is when you have to pull the trigger on
especially with the
Draza potentially,
especially with the caliber of the teams, the caliber of the players. There's no reason why you can't just try a role swap, especially with Draza and Kenny. Honestly, haven't played multiple roles.
Considering we saw how good Kenny or Draza was at Flex last year, and we saw how good Kenny's been as the SMG in his history. So that just makes sense to at least experiment with, right? Yeah.
So, man, honestly, I think the least. So we have 144 votes. I think the least would probably look for a team change, right? There's no way people are looking for a team change right now.
It seems unlikely.
But I could also see it too.
Rex, what are your thoughts?
I think people are going to choose. Honestly, I would choose keep it all the same. But
so if you're a JCap, you're keeping it all the same for now.
Yep. But I think people are going to choose same roster, new roles.
Okay. So I'm going to look for a team change. I think this is by far our closest one. I think it is.
Let's go.
So I'm actually really proud of myself. This is the first time it's ever happened in 2.5 years. Okay. So 41.4% say keep it all the same.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then 33.8% say same roster, new roles.
Oh, okay.
And then last but not least is 24.8% say look for a team change.
That's pretty even between all three.
Right. I think that's right.
So that's definitely our closest one. Obviously it helps to have only 3 instead of 4, but still, even then.
I mean, my biggest thing is, I would keep it the same this week, but let's say you lose. I don't know. If you lose if you lose either of those matches, I would try to switch it up.
Yeah.
So if you lose either one to LAG or to Seattle, then I would try to swap roles going into the major.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to pick out two comments here.
Oh, yeah, let them know.
Ascendancy says they should try getting a new /second coach before making team changes, in my opinion. They obviously have potential, but seem to always make the wrong decision in clutch moments, like kind of how we talked about the Game 5.
This is a JCap hate post. That's what
I'm
that
not sure
is.
who would even be on the hot seat. You can make a case for anyone except Envoy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see, scrolling down a little bit. We've got Overtime says, keep as is for now and see if they can fix things. If they all still suck after stage 2, then they need to change. Not sure who gets dropped, but it's not Envoy.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like if you, let's say you like lose one of the two here and then you don't win a match at the major. You just get knocked out. Like at that point, you have to make a change. There's just no point in staying the same.
And last but not least, we'll go with our Apollo says 100 moves returns.
The GOAT GM, JCap.
I know,
making all the moves.
It's just so funny, you know. It's like,
dude,
how many roster changes do we see?
Hated on so much. Like almost all these comments are about JCap.
Oh gosh,
I kind of feel bad how bad I roasted him in Modern Warfare now.
You roasted him hard.
I mean, he deserved it. He was
it was deserved.
So bad in Modern Warfare.
Yeah, it was deserved. He was really bad, and that's why he retired. Because it was about time. So. Well, there it is, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you guys for watching. Again, check out PrizePicks. Use code BO3pod on PrizePicks. Tweet us your picks, and it enters you into a giveaway to win fire merch. Because they actually just dropped new merch on the CDL store. No free shout-outs. And it's actually pretty fire. So tweet us your picks. And things we love to see. Rex is gone for the outro. Nothing better than that. But as always, I'm Josh. To my right was Bachelor P. To our farthest right was Rex ShadyNero.
Actually, was.
Hey guys, we will see you next time. Peace.